Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. I'm Dakota. This is Tim, and we got 2 weeks in a row where we can talk happily about the Eagles. So that's pretty nice.
It's true. I mean, this was, whenever you're in a tough spot, play the Giants, play the Browns. That's the medicine you need.
That's unfortunately those are the little outliers where it's like, are we seeing progress or are we just playing really bad teams? I mean, to be fair, the Giants, they're not good, but I don't think
Nah,
they're like
terrible.
horrible like everyone's making them out to be.
They're good on defense, but they're awful on offense. They're as bad as
Yeah,
they
I mean
normally are on offense.
they put up like 20 some points on Seattle, and Seattle's supposed to have a solid defense and
Yeah, that was the beginning of
without
the season.
neighbors.
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of the season. Everyone was still finding its way. Since as the weeks go on, they look pretty awful.
Mm.
But I mean, more importantly, this was a comfortable win. I
Yes.
felt like this was the first
Stress free.
time this was the first time I was relaxed by second half. Because
Oh
what
yeah.
I don't remember the halftime score, but I think we were what was it like
It's like
14?
14-3.
Yeah, well, to be honest, once they went up, I think it was like 14 nothing, or maybe yeah, it was 14 nothing. They went. I felt like, all right, this is good. We're settled in. I really don't think the Giants are going to be able to score 14 points for the rest of the game.
14-3. It was because they got the right at halftime, I think. They got the field goal.
Yeah, because I mean the Giants, by the time we scored 14 points, they had punted six times. So I was pretty confident that 14 points was going to be enough to win this game.
Well, I will say the first quarter had me a little worried because we three drives in a row. We just traded with the Giants, and every drive for both teams was ending in a sack.
Yeah.
So defense came to play. I mean, I couldn't. Quinyon Mitchell has so far he's far exceeded my expectations. I just been he shut neighbors down. I mean, he had what like 30 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone was eating out there. We got eight
yeah,
sacks.
DeJean was all
Cooper
over.
DeJean, man. It's
He's looking good.
especially on the return game. See you later,
Go
Brent
white boy,
Covey.
go.
Yeah, like that was
Oh,
he
he's
had a little
electric.
juice there.
He's electric on a
Yeah,
punt return.
I really liked it. He plays well defensively. Like
Better
the
than Covey
rookies.
because Covey, every time I feared for the safety of his life, every time he would return a
Yeah.
punt. But
Well, we had that moment where Covey was just a great wide receiver three. We, remember those days that they were fun.
yeah, but
They were no, I mean defensively, again, it helps to play the Giants. Andrew Thomas was hurt. Daniel Jones is not a starting NFL quarterback, but they had eight sacks in total. Jalen Carter picked up two. N'Kobe Dean, man, I mean,
he's
he
coming
misses some
on.
plays here and there. He's a little erratic, but I'm impressed.
He's
He just needs to stay healthy.
I will say from uh one veteran in the sports media world that I've always respected was Ray Didinger, who used to be
Of
on
course, Big Diddy.
NBC, post Eagles post game. Has not been the same without him or Derek Gunn. Shout out those
Yeah.
two. But Ray Diddy, he was on I think Derek Gunn's podcast. It was early in the week, and he said he loved Dean coming out of college because he's
Oh, we
such an
don't.
instinctual player. Like he's a quick thinker. He acts on his instinct and he makes usually good decisions. The only problem is his size. He's a little undersized for linebacker. Now we've seen linebackers come to the NFL undersized and play. I mean, London Fletcher is the first name that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Great linebacker, played undersized, but I think he's setting the Georgia players, honestly, are all coming. Jalen Carter, double sack game. He's starting to
Well,
make
it's the young defense. This is what we were saying. Like you see the development. I mean, Kobe Dean is almost playing his rookie season. The first year he didn't see any. Yeah, he was a backup, or he was basically backup or hurt for what's this, his third season now?
mhm.
So 2 years he was hurt or a backup. This is his first year of actually seeing like real playing time, and he's looking better every game. He looks better. He's getting better each game. Same with Jalen. Nolan Smith is another one. He's another guy that's kind of in a rookie year almost. He didn't play much last year. He's very raw, but they're improving, which I think has got me even more exciting. Jordan Davis is, he's not so
He's
much
there.
improving with yeah, he exists.
Huff got
But
a sack
yes, you know what? I can officially say
on
Bryce Huff is
on
no longer dead.
on 18 snaps, he had a sack. That's actually pretty impressive.
So now we're at a season total of 3 solo tackles and a
Hmm.
sack and a half.
Yes, well
I'm
worth
taking
$40
this
million.
moment.
dollars.
I'm taking this moment to confidently say
Uh,
Bryce Huff is no longer dead. Because I
we
really
have, ladies and gentlemen, we have a pulse.
eyebrows were up, man. I just thought it was like a
Uh,
weekend of Bernie's kind of thing. They were just gonna roll him out, got to
I,
justify the contract.
I will say, if I told you that the Eagles scored 28 points and won by, what's the math? 25, but I told you that Jalen Hurts only had 10 completions, would would that make sense to you?
Yeah, because I think we've all been asking the Eagles to run the ball more.
They only threw the ball 14 times. Like that's pretty
Yeah, but
wild.
even well, to be fair, like I said,
I'm
I
fine with
think
that if they
in that
feed
game, I mean,
Saquon like that.
it was only 14-3. But to be honest, when it went 14-0, you knew this game was pretty much over. I think
Mm.
by halftime, the Giants couldn't do anything offensively. Our defense was starting to get a little better. Offensively was cooking a little bit more. Like, I mean, yeah, the game wasn't technically over, but it just felt like, all right, this is gonna get ugly quickly, which is gonna be nice because I'm looking for a less stressful Sunday.
It was funny because I texted Nick, obviously been on this show quite a lot, and I was before the game, I was like, is it bad that I'm nervous for the Giants? And then I said to him, I was like, look, I really just need like a 200-yard game from Saquon and like a double-digit Eagles win, and I will feel good going into next week. And close to 200 yards, and they won by more than double digits, or well, yeah, double digits, but more than like 14. So I was happy with it. This is a great test coming up now. You beat up on two bad teams, and now you're
Yeah,
facing the Bengals, who have a good offense. Their line is a little rough now too, though. So
their
if this
defense
pass rush
stinks.
is legit, if they're really starting to put the pieces together, we will see them get after Joe Burrow a little bit here.
Yeah.
Which helps the
From
secondary.
what
I
I've
mean,
seen,
like Daniel just had 99 passing yards on 21 throws. Like when you get pressure, even just more than like what they had before, your secondary can breathe and able to cover for, a reasonable time. When you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, the secondary loses they can only
it's
guard
true.
for so
No.
long, no matter
Hey,
how
it's just,
talented you are.
secondary's best friend is a good pass rush.
Absolutely.
I'd say like the games I've seen with the Bengals, they can still score points. They just can't stop anyone. So this could be a nice little
Yeah.
shootout coming around.
This would be the game because I mean, while we did dominate them, really, it was a couple big play. Like Saquon had I think 240 plus yard runs,
Yeah,
and obviously the
AJ
fourth
had a
and three,
couple.
AJ
Yeah.
Brown taught like 40-yard bomb. So like it'd be nice if there was some more methodical, like driving down the field, getting more chunk yards than just like
Yes.
big,
Yes.
couple big plays. But I think we'll see. I think this game will be a good barometer. I think the Bengals are a competitive team. They're a little off from where they should be right now, but so are the
They'll need to score
Eagles.
points.
So.
But I mean, I think to get into little critiques, there's not going to be too many on a blowout win.
Hmm.
My biggest critique is what you just said. I
Yeah.
felt like offensively, it was more of the success more came from Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown making massive plays because they're just incredible players.
Hmm.
The system, the Kellen Moore system, I said this last week, I don't see the creativity. Devontae Smith was an afterthought this week. Like
I
it
don't
just
think he
felt
had
like you
maybe one catch, maybe.
but this is the problem we ran into when AJ Brown was hurt. Is you rely on two superstars to be two superstars. A
Hmm.
couple of those AJ Brown catches were like incredible. They were just incredible plays that I think you can't just rely on happening every single week. Now, I mean, AJ Brown's an incredible player, so maybe, but it seems a little risky to just rely on AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley to make incredible plays every single week to win you a game because I feel like that's what we've been doing since week one. Saquon was carrying the
Yeah.
offense when Brown was hurt. When Brown was hurt, you noticed a huge drop off. And since he's come back, it's been very similar. Brown was a playmaker last week. You're not using all of the weapons that we have. You're just relying on
Well,
two superstar players to make superstar plays every single
to
week.
be fair, um, they only played 3 quarters. Like they took the starters out after the start of the fourth quarter. So
Yeah,
like
I get
like I
that.
said, Jalen only had 10 completions on 14 throws. So like it went to AJ had 5, Saquon had 2, and then Gainwell, Calcaterra, Dotson, Campbell, Devontae had one. Like really, people weren't actually no. Jahan and Paris didn't actually have any catches, but
Yeah,
Devontae had one catch for -2 yards. I think it was like a screen or something. But
yeah,
it was really AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley on
yeah.
offense. Nobody else did anything. So I guess when you're up that big, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I definitely would
So
like to see more. That's why I'm so against like trading for a receiver because we already have two really good receivers, and Jahan Dotson's supposed to be better than this.
he stinks.
So I don't see like adding a Cooper Cup. I don't think is going to help this offense because that's just another mouth you have to feed. Like we already have playmakers. They just need to step up, and we need Jalen to find them when they're open, and we need better play calling. Like I've seen. I mean, the Chiefs are undefeated with the
Yeah, but they
dollar
run like
store employees at
well,
wide
that's what I
receiver.
mean. That's what I but that's more of my point is you can't get by on Dollar Tree. Like Andy Reid and Patrick
Well, they did
Mahomes
just
get
trade
by
for
with
D
Dollar
Hop,
Tree.
but
Yeah, I mean you lost Rasheed Rice. Holly Brown hasn't even shown up yet.
yeah,
They're down two wide receivers. We were down two wide receivers and got blown out by the Buccaneers.
that's true.
So I think there's a different level. But that's my point right there. Is we saw when AJ Brown got hurt. This system is not benefiting all of this talent you have. You're just putting superstars in a position to make plays,
Mm.
and they do. Look at the first half. Before, like I said, I think by halftime it was very comfortable. The first half, you had six possessions. You punted on four of them, and you scored two touchdowns. Those two touchdowns were set up by the huge run by Saquon, which I think was like 50 yards. And then it was the huge 41 bomb to AJ Brown.
Yeah,
So take away, and I mean, they're great plays, and you can't take them away. Take away two plays, and you realistically could say they wouldn't score more than three points, 6 points at most. Like they punted four of those six possessions. You had two plays that scored you two touchdowns. Otherwise, you were
yeah.
punting every
I
single drive.
mean, so um, you got to factor in because the quarterback keeps his passing yards, but as a team, your passing yards are subtracted from sacks. So like Jalen had 114 yards, but we ended up with 70 passing yards. But just sacked the Giants 8 times. I think Daniel Jones had 99 passing yards, so they finished with 43 passing yards as a team,
Well, yeah,
for
that's.
119 total yards, including rushing. So like that was nice to see the defense step up. While sure it's an inferior Giants offense, but they have Malik Neighbors. They shut him down. They have you
I mean,
know
yeah, but I mean, Daniel Jones is a very tough quarterback to
I
win
can't
with.
believe he
But
hasn't thrown a touchdown in MetLife Stadium since like the last time I think when they were in the playoffs against Minnesota was
that doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest. So here's my other point. How many times, the other red flag I saw, how many times did you see on those sacks you were talking about? Because the Giants had 5 sacks. How many times did you see Jalen just in a position where he was running backwards, holding the ball too long, or just in a position where he should just throw it away?
off the top of
Like
my head, I know
nothing,
at least three where he was just
there
like,
was
"What do I do?" And
exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like that's another like red flag for me that the system is not getting people open.
yeah,
And a game where Devontae Smith, I think, had one catch. Like you got to get a guy like Devontae Smith open. Like a guy like Devontae Smith does absolutely nothing, and Jalen held on to the ball, took 5 sacks. There was multiple times, like you said, that he should have thrown away where he didn't, or he had all the time in the world. Like that's kind of like that's a scheme problem. That's a system problem.
and
You throw out whoever ragtag you want, Andy Reid will get him open, and Patrick Mahomes will make the pass.
yeah, and I just don't understand what the problem is. Like, I don't know if he thinks he's faster than he really is, and that he can escape all this pressure, but I mean, he is, and some of these have been on like 30 shorts, and he's like scrambled back and gotten sacked. I'm just like, you got to have more. I mean, I think in the second half, I think in the third quarter, he had like two where he threw the ball away. But like, just like I don't
Too many times. And that
like
was all
it.
of his fumbles too.
And here's the thing, like,
Luckily, he didn't fumble this time, but all those fumbles were the same situation.
we had Saquon 17 carries, 176 yards. That's a 10.4 average. Granted, he had like two or three big runs, but
Yeah.
same. So does Derrick Henry. Um, Kenneth Gainwell, 13 carries, 56 yards in like garbage time, but still at a 4.3 when the Giants knew they were running the ball. Jalen rushed for 7 times. Will Shipley rushed for 8 times. Like they pushed the running game. That's like I can't do math that fast. It's like 30 plus carries for running backs.
Well, they should be pushing the running game more. All right, so going off that, the running game, I feel like the running game has been successful all season, like consistently in the situations we could. Obviously, in the Buccaneers game, we couldn't really run most of the game because we were blown out, you
Yeah,
know. But it's been more of the passing offense. Now there are injuries, like we said, AJ missed time, Devontae
my
Smith missed
lot is
time, but
out.
yeah, but overall, what is the recurring theme you think in the passing offense deficiencies? Is it more of Jalen's not reading the field, or is it more the scheme is not getting people open or putting Jalen in a position to succeed? Because from what I've seen, of course, it's a
It's a
mixture
mix
of
of
both,
both. Yeah.
but I think it's more on the scheme because some of the problems that I see when AJ Brown, Devontae Smith are healthy are the same things when no one is there. Like there's guys that just can't get open, and you have superstars that should be able to get on. Devontae Smith should be able to get open. I feel like Kellen Moore's system works well with the running game, but he's got to come up with something more creative to get these guys open and to like equally distribute the ball. We talk about Goddard had one huge game, which was great. Devontae Smith's been up and down. AJ Brown's been amazing, but I think it's more you're relying on these two guys to make all your plays.
I I'm in agreement with you that I think Jalen has his issues with whether it's reading or having like an awareness of when to get rid of the ball, finding the open receivers, whatever. But I do I feel like we were promised a more creative, more explosive offense, and I
Yeah,
still to this day have not seen it. Like
I
just
agree.
because you complete a 40-yard pass to AJ Brown does not mean this offense is explosive. Just because Saquon breaks open a run that was supposed to be like, an off tackle run for like 5 yards and he takes it 50, doesn't mean the offense is explosive. Sure, they
Yeah,
do all these motions, but like I don't. I need more like creative plays. I like I said a lot
of
on last
course.
episode. Like the Lions doing creative plays all the time. All these teams that like the Ravens even are more creative. I
And
just
that's how they succeed when they don't have a top five wide receiver and a top five running back. Like not every team has that,
yeah.
and yet they still score points. What was it? Was it last year or the year before that AJ Brown had his ridiculous like 6 games in a row with 125
I
passing
think it
yards,
was
receiving
last year
yards?
when we kept losing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So yeah,
sure.
well that's the thing. Like obviously we all in agreement that last year's scheme was awful. Brian Johnson wasn't able to coordinate anything, and they were
He's in
terrible.
Washington now.
Yeah,
Mariota looked like a god.
yeah, we'll see about that. But they played the Panthers. Relax
I
there.
know, I know, I know.
Um, but like they like these players are like they're foolproof. They're scheme proof. AJ Brown on any team will ball out. Saquon Barkley on any team we saw with the Giants. He balled out from when he was healthy. Like I don't like the system isn't helping those players. Those players are bailing out the system. Where are the quick throws? Can we just quick throw out there? Can Hurts like make an adjustment at the line? Hey, there's 8 in the box here. Can we get something quick? The explosive plays are nice, but where's the quick hitters? Where's the 15? Where's the 20? Why do we have to rely on a 50-yard bomb to AJ Brown or a 60-yard run by Saquon Barkley every single time?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if not, I mean, AJ loves his little 10-yard hitch routes where he just comes back and he'll break out of it and Jalen will hit him right on time. But besides those, like I don't like again, I'm waiting for that 2022 offense where Jalen was just diming to people. They were explosive. He was running. The
Hey
running
man,
game
there
was
was a lot of
solid.
good,
Like
yeah, there was a lot of good players
good
eating.
balance, good explosive
Goddard was
plays.
eating. Devontae Smith was eating. AJ Brown was eating.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't.
who was it? Miles Sanders got a huge deal from Carolina for everything he
Yeah.
was doing. Like that was a system that was working creative. We were able to run the ball very well and score a lot of points with Miles Sanders and not Saquon
Well,
Barkley. So why do we
Shane Steichen
struggle more?
offense.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's we haven't been able to replace Steichen's offense, and I think it hurts. That's part of the reason also I think we cannot find a number three wide receiver. Because the system doesn't reward or a wide receiver three or is creative enough, to reward one. If someone just triple teamed AJ Brown and somehow managed to also flood the box for Saquon, just focus on two guys, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, excuse me. And I'm waiting for this whole like, Kellen Moore Dallas Cowboys wizardry that we saw. Starting to think maybe he wasn't the genius behind it all, and it was maybe McCarthy was helping him with offense because I've yet to see his genius on display. And I was against him being signed the whole time leading up to when he joined the Eagles. So I don't
I
know.
mean, I don't know who else you were getting. You needed a proven guy. They
I
weren't going
was
to
willing
go,
to take a flyer on on Cliff Kingsbury because when he doesn't have to be a head coach,
yeah, yeah,
there's a
that's
lot
not
of other options out there, but I don't know.
I'll give. I mean, you still get. It's still what, week 6, or we just finished.
7.
So week 7. I'm not going to put the panic button up right now because you also have had a revolving door of injuries on
And
offense.
we should be 5-1 recent. Like,
Hey, we shoulda, coulda, woulda. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go red flag yet, but I definitely think the scheme is becoming more of a red flag for me. I'm more concerned that AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley just cover up the fact that this scheme isn't very good, and a smart defensive play caller will figure it out and they will stop them. Because they get the quick hitters, man. Jalen holds on to that ball way too long a lot of times, and props to him because he hasn't fumbled, but the guy still took 5 sacks in a game. You stopped throwing. You took Jalen out at the end of the game. You stopped throwing the ball by the third quarter, and yet
Yeah.
he still took 5 sacks.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to take away from the fact that we won and like we said, kind of dominated, but not as like well as we'd like to. But I still don't. I mean, we're what 35%, 40% through the season. Like, if we go to the playoffs, do you like our chance against the Lions? I don't. I don't even think we would beat the Packers again. Or Vikings,
Oh yeah, they look good.
maybe.
Imagine Brian Flores' defense. He will cook up something
Oh
that
yeah.
really throws us in a problem.
Somehow we'll score negative points.
Defensively, I think the system is coming better. I still think they're not there yet. Like
I don't know.
personnel wise, is still improving, but I see enough that makes me a little more positive.
This will be a good test. Joe
Oh
Burrow is
yeah,
a good like Deshaun Watson and on his handicap tour and Daniel Jones who hasn't thrown a touchdown in MetLife since some people have been born. Like it's just those aren't good barometer. Like I need to see against Joe Burrow and then I'll be able to say okay, defense is coming along.
oh no, I agree. But I think give Fangio credit for this.
Yes,
His
yes.
defense is all new players or they're young guys.
One I will say one last thing on the defense. Did you notice the last 2 weeks something that has improved drastically?
Run defense,
Tackling.
tackling. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Way less missed tackles, way less over pursuits, more, finishing the play. So I don't know if they've been practicing tackling in practice, but their tackling has been much, much better, especially against the Giants. Like they were wrapping up. It looked 10 times better than against the
Yeah,
Bucks.
well, I think I mean, you're seeing the defense click a little bit more.
Hmm.
And that's like what we're saying. A lot of the young guys are getting better. They're finding their way. I think they're getting more comfortable in the scheme. It's just the offense was little like littered with veterans. You're running the same offense you ran last year, like personnel wise, minus the improvement of Saquon Barkley.
I would
It's a
argue
very
it's
similar team.
I would argue it's even worse than last year right now. Like it just doesn't feel explosive. Like it seems very predictable, very just
Yeah,
bland.
it definitely isn't worse. Brian Johnson's offense was
He was
horrendous.
getting AJ 170 yards, but
I mean, AJ's still balling out. What did he have last week? I mean, he's not
I mean,
not.
85 catches, 89 or something like that. And
I mean, he's still making play. Mind you, he missed majority of the season.
yeah, yeah, he'll probably
So,
still finish top five in receiving
yeah,
yards, but
he did have 116 yards and a touchdown last week. It's
okay,
hardly like he's,
okay.
quiet.
I didn't say he was
Devontae
chopped
Smith is the
liver.
one. Devontae Smith would be the one I'd like to see a little bit more from.
I think, yeah, but I'm not worried. Devontae was fine. Like Devontae was balling up until he got the concussion, and then last week they just ran the ball. He didn't get an
No,
opportunity.
no, 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 no. Devontae Smith was balling when AJ Brown was out
Yeah.
because the offense isn't creative enough to feed 2 wide receivers.
No, no, no,
It's
no, no,
creative enough
no,
to
no,
feed
no.
one wide
They both had a
receiver.
thousand yards last year. That's not a good argument.
Well, Devontae Smith is not on that path
Did
right
you
now.
what? Well, okay, yeah. The Bucks game in
Neither is
the
AJ Brown, to be
playoffs,
fair,
he
but I
did
mean
step
that's
up. But anyways, all right. Any final thoughts on the birds, or we're good
a
with that?
positive win. I'm glad we finally got a double-digit win. We finally were comfortable. It was nice not to sweat out a fourth quarter for once.
Yeah.
All in all, pretty positive. I mean, it's not a five alarm red flag. It's stuff you notice. It's getting to that a point in the season where we're getting past the early jitters of the season. I'd like to see improvements on some of the stuff we've criticized. But I mean, weekly reminder, Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown ball out. The young guys on defense are getting better, and hats off to Hurts for holding on to the ball. So I'm it's still a positive. It was nice to blow out the Giants.
Always,
That was fun.
always
Yeah,
nice
that
to.
was fun. I'm, I know we ended it on a negative term, but this was definitely a positive.
What a time for New York because they had the Mets, teased them with the World Series, but the Dodgers took care of them.
I mean, they got the Yankees though.
Well, yeah, I was getting to that, but you have the Yankees, which, God, I can't believe I have to root for the Dodgers, but man, I hate the
I
Yankees.
know. See, it was the Guardians. I was really putting all my emotional investment on the Guardians.
My one Yankees buddy, he was like, well, Mike, he's been on the show before. He was like, I was like, sorry, Mike, I gotta go. I gotta say, go LA, go Dodgers. It's like, aren't you like, but they're not even in your division. Like, why would you hate the Yankees? I was like, since
Oh,
2009, baby.
that's an obvious answer. The Dodgers. I mean, yeah, I'm not a Dodgers fan either. I could root for Shohei because he seems like a good
Sure.
dude. He got scammed out of the money. Like he seems pretty low key for superstar. He rotted in LA with the Angels for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Poor Mike Trout.
the yeah, I mean, he's an easy guy to root for. I got nothing against Otani. So
Um,
I mean, it'd be
I don't
nice to
know.
see him win.
I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, so they have, Mets gave them a little bit of hope, and then now they have the Yankees. But man, the Giants and the Jets are just in misery. The
Well,
Jets look
here,
really bad.
I was to say, so let's go around the NFL. Let's start with the Jets because this one is like, I think this is the biggest talking point. Man, the Jets, I would argue that the Jets are more of a disappointment than the Giants, just compared
Oh
to
yeah,
expectations.
without
Because,
a doubt.
oh man, that the vaunted defense does not look good. Sauce Gardner does not look good. This pass rush does not look good. Aaron Rodgers is washed. You got
He
Devontae Adams, that's
is.
cute, but Brees Hall, he was great
He's
through the
coming
air,
on.
but
He's coming on though.
they still can't run the ball. The guy had
Yeah.
12 carries for 38 yards. I mean, yeah, he went for 100 in the air,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
they're still not running the ball very well.
Um,
It's concerning.
I
It's concerning
forget.
for sure.
Don't quote me because this is an original thought. I forget where I heard this earlier this week, but someone said Jets on paper are really good. Um,
Yeah,
the names on the back of the jersey tell you that the team is good, but the name on the front of the jersey is bad, and that is
yeah.
New York Jet. So yeah, they're just I don't. And it's funny because Devontae Adams. I don't know if you saw Devontae Adams' press conference after the game. He's like, "Yeah, we've just been struggling all year." I'm like, "Bro, you've been here for like 3 days. He
That's
already
how
knows.
checked
Like,
out he was
he already
in
knows how
uh
bad it's
in
been."
Las Vegas. He was just so checked out. He like was following. He probably has Aaron Rodgers on his fantasy team, so he was just following along with that more than the Raiders
And
when he was
that's
there.
that's that's got to be a weird feeling to lose to the Steelers and then get traded and then play the Steelers again and lose to them again. But
Yeah, it's true. Hats off to Russell Wilson, man. Justin Fields is definitely not getting his job back.
well, it's only one game, but yeah, he looks
I mean,
pretty decent.
It looked ugly a couple times, but I mean, he put up 37,
Well, I mean, he didn't play all week, all season, so he had to get reacquainted.
Yeah, I
But
mean, listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I thought he looked pretty good. He was rusty, but he made plays.
um, yeah, before we end on the New York teams, I do say quick shout out to the New York Liberty won the WNBA Finals championship. So little sport talk there for you. But
There you go.
we don't cover basketball, so um, Broncos and the Saints was a Thursday night game. That was
That
pretty
was
pretty
talk
bad.
about an ugly matchup.
Pretty
The
bad.
only people that were happy were the guys that had Javante Williams on their fantasy team.
Yeah, man, the Saints. I mean, when they were 2-0, I was like, oh, maybe Dennis Allen's not going to get fired in midseason, and now they're lost what, five straight. I was like, he's probably going to get fired. Although to be
The Bron
fair, they have a lot of injuries. But
Yeah, I mean Spencer Rattler stinks, but what did you expect from him?
mm,
The
but
Broncos are what? They're 4-2? They're 4-3. Man, they are the
4-3.
ugliest four-win team I've ever seen. I mean, I know it's like they're practically 500, but man, they are so ugly to watch. It's
Yeah,
amazing that they have four wins.
yeah. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I'm looking at the stat line. Spencer Rattler had was 25 throws or completions for 172 72 yards. That's not a good average from
Yeah.
I'm looking at here, but.
They couldn't do anything, to be fair.
No. But yeah, the Broncos, they won that game 33-10. Then we had our a London game. How was that over there for you? Jags won 32-16 over the Pats.
I think the Jags got a good amount of love in London, so everyone
Hmm.
was happy to see them.
That's good. Rob Mayo called his team soft, so that's that's always good.
Yeah, and then Belichick came out and said
Yeah.
they're not soft. Like,
Yeah.
dude, Bill, you gotta keep your nose out of the water, I think. I see where Bill's coming from. You could tell Bill's just way too invested in the Patriots still. And
Oh, I mean,
Bill, again, strikes me as a guy who only cares about football. He has no hobbies outside of it. But dude,
yeah.
just keep your nose out of it. You're not there anymore. Make it easy on Mayo. He doesn't need the former legend criticizing his comments about his team.
Yeah, that was interesting. He's interesting. Like he's a whole. It's just like when Brady got released from the Patriots, or when not released, but like got out of the Patriots. His personality came out. Now we're seeing, Bill Belichick on commercials on ESPN, and
It's true.
way more entertaining than I thought. I thought he was just this dark cloud, and
It's
he's
true. He's more
he's
enta- he,
he's got
he's
a
more entertaining than
personality.
Brady. Brady stinks in the booth.
He's not great. And now that he has that
No,
whole
he's
deal
not
with
good
the
at all.
Raiders owners, like now that he owns part of the Raiders, he like can't even do his job properly. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird situation. Great game. Lions beat the Vikings 31-29. Man, Lions they look better than they did last year. I really think that they're gonna end up representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think
They're
they're just
cruising, man.
even without Aiden
So
Hutchinson, they look really good.
the Vikings obviously been balling out. I caught everyone by surprise. They lost
Hmm.
this game, but does it almost validate the Vikings even more for you? Because I mean,
It
they
does.
went neck to neck with the
They
Lions,
lost
who
on
you
a
think's the best
last
team in the
second field
NFC.
goal. So yeah, I'm
They were
not
neck and
gonna.
neck. I mean,
I think they're
obviously they
legit,
lost. They lost, but that I think validated them as a legit team.
which is why I don't understand why Sam Darnold would be rumored to be a trade target for them when
Idiotic.
or what I say, Matt Stafford.
Matt
Yeah,
Stafford,
because
idiotic.
Sam Darnold's playing like really well.
Yeah, it's not like you're changing your third string, your number three wide receiver. Changing your
Yeah,
quarterback changes the whole team.
yeah. Um, Bills they were down against the Titans at like close to half. It looked like they were like losing 7-10 or something, and then they took care of business, won 34-10. They look pretty. They're one of the top. Them and the Ravens and Chiefs, shocker, top of the AFC.
I mean, the Titans stink. They rolled out Mason Rudolph. Tells
Yeah,
you everything you need to know about what they think about Will Levis.
I think he wasn't he hurt?
Oh yeah, you're right. I can't keep track of whether he gets hurt or if he gets benched.
Yeah,
They're,
it's all
they're
the
equal
same.
probability.
Yeah. Uh, the Colts won 16-10 over the Dolphins. I mean, Tua's coming back this week for the Dolphins.
They're another team
Interesting that
that's hard
he's
to watch.
not going to wear a guardian cap, even though his brain is spaghetti.
Hey, do
Um,
what you got to do.
I mean, it's a little concerning in his press conference that he said, "I love this game and I'll die for this game." I was like, brother, you might actually
Maybe,
die because of this
maybe.
game, so you should be
Yeah.
careful. Um, but yeah, Colts have been getting these like really low scoring wins the last couple of weeks, so I don't know what to make of that.
Also a
But
painful team to watch.
yeah, they don't excite. It's funny how much we shit on the Eagles for like their problems, but at least we know we have a good team. It's a matter of how they play. It's like these other teams are just not good.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised by this game. Seattle beat the Falcons 34-14.
Don't know where that came from.
No, no. Falcons looked a little like what do they call that? Dead in the water. And Seahawks
Yeah,
came to
very
play.
flat.
Yeah.
Cousins, I think, had his worst game for sure. Um, Not a pretty one. Definitely one you would hate to see them drop. I mean, and maybe they were a little cocky because they blew out the Panthers the week before, but
Everyone was pulling
I
up the
don't. Yeah,
Panthers.
everyone was. It's
Bryce
hardly
Young is
some
starting
hardly
this
some.
week.
Is he?
Hmm.
Oh, I did see Andy Dalton got in a car accident, so
Oh,
that's unfortunate.
oh, did he?
Apparently, I don't know how
Oh,
serious it was.
damn.
They left out details on whether it was intentional on Andy Dalton wanting to crash his car because he didn't want to start, or if someone crashed into Andy
He's,
Dalton
I've
furious
had
about this
enough of
past
this game.
week. Yeah. Some diehard
Yikes.
Bryce Young fans like, I need him back.
I have him on fantasy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that happened. But Another pretty close game, and it's starting a debate on Jordan Love versus CJ Stroud. But Packers beat the Texans 24 to 22. Packers, they look legit now.
Yeah,
I
5 and
hated
2.
I hated seeing all the hype for them before the season started. I still don't think they're like that level of hype that everyone was like, oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. But they look like a playoff team.
It makes you feel
Um,
better about us knocking them off in Brazil.
yeah, and for as bad as the defense played against them, so
Yeah.
Texans on the other hand, I mean, their wins aren't t really against a lot of great teams, so hopefully they're fixing it. But I mean, they only lost by two, so
I mean, they
uh,
lost. They played 2 close games. They beat the Bills.
oh,
Got
that's
blown
right,
out by
yeah,
the Vikings, but otherwise, they took care of business. I mean,
yeah.
they're both 5-2 teams. I think you got what you expected.
Bengals beat the Browns 21-14. I mean, again, the Bengals they were looking on the up, and then the last 2 weeks, I mean, they really hasn't put a lot of points on the board against Giants. And I just noticed now they played the Giants and the Browns. Then they're playing the Eagles. We played the Browns and the Giants. Now we're playing the Bengals.
Brother,
It's
where you
crazy.
been? I brought this up last week.
You did
Get it
bring that
together.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, come on.
that's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Browns, obviously the biggest noteworthy thing is Deshaun Watson got hurt and his own fans cheered it. Talk about
Yeah.
one intentional car accident. I think the Browns fan would intentionally crash into Deshaun Watson. Whole ugly look. Deshaun Watson goes down with brutal injury. The fans are cheering it.
Yeah.
I actually was talking to a buddy of mine who's a Cowboys fan, so take
Ugh,
this with a grain of salt. But he
yucky.
was like saying, Cleveland bo are cheering for Watson's injury is something like Philly would do. And now, you know what? We would definitely
And they
cheer an
did.
opposing player's
They
injury.
I'm pretty sure they booed Michael Irving when he like broke his leg or something. I
Well, no,
forget.
see, that is true, but that is an opposing team. We have never cheered
Oh,
our own
oh.
player getting
That's
hurt.
that's wild activity. Like you can't
That
be
is
doing
that is
that.
extremely low. Like, yeah, we've done it to other teams, sure, but never to our own team. Like that is really some awful behavior. But it's a weird chapter we're going to see in this Deshaun Watson saga. He's clearly not going anywhere, but now he's coming off another major injury. And I mean, one little thing, tidbit we got out of this, which surprised me. James Winston gave a hell of a speech. He looked like he was like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. I was like, who is
He's
this? He
he's
matured overnight.
he's been that way. He's like he's probably one of the most interesting characters in the NFL. He went from like a goofball to like, oh, you can kind of play to like, oh, he's just a backup to, well, at least he's entertaining. And then
Now he's like a scholar.
yeah, I
I was
mean,
very, very impressed.
from their perspective, like this is their life, so they're obviously going to stand up for their teammate.
Oh yeah, I
It's
mean,
just I I'm not gonna justify the booze because it's fucked up. It's not right. But I I I don't want to say I get it, but like I
no,
think I
no.
understand why.
I mean, sure, but no.
But yeah, it's not. I mean, all
Bad
the
look.
yeah, it's
Bad
just
look.
they're they did this before apparently. I forget who it was, but apparently the Browns cheered for their own player when they were hurt before, like recently.
Bad
So
behavior.
yeah, not ideal. Um, excuse me. Eagles won 20-3 over the Giants. The Rams beat the Raiders 20-15. I mean, I didn't
Ugh.
expect much from the Raiders, but they're slowly be like my most disappointing team of the year. Like I thought Antonio Pierce was going to give them some fire. They would maybe do a little, like have a good run game or something, or the defense would carry them, and they just
This
been
is more disappointing than
leh.
your 9-win Panthers.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. There's a lot of ugly games this week. This was another one. Really not much excitement. A lot of
Hmm.
sloppy, sloppy football. Obviously, Devontae Adams was gone, so it kind of tells you where the team thinks the season's going to go. I don't expect any of the other big moves, but yeah, they're a painful team to watch.
Yeah, and then speaking of the Panthers, they lost to the Commanders 40-7. And Jane Daniels barely even played. It was the Marcus Mariota show, which is interesting because we didn't see even a lick of that when he was with the Eagles.
But you didn't
Um,
play the Panthers every
yeah,
week.
yeah,
This is a get right game, as we say. Tough loss to the Ravens. How do you get the mojo back? You go and crush the Panthers.
yeah. Um, Then we'll see. I think Jay Daniels got a hit a rib injury.
He'd be
Um,
fine. Big
I
match,
think
apparently. We get bumped for Sunday Night Football. Tells you exactly where the league thinks the NFL is now. You know, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams'
yeah,
Sunday night matchup
yeah,
over
Bears,
Jalen
yeah.
Hurts and Joe Burrow. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. But um elsewhere, the Chiefs took care of the 49ers 2018. Chiefs defense is carrying them because Mahomes has not played great. Granted, he's
Man, they carried him last year.
had yeah, well, I mean, but he six touchdowns and eight interceptions through 7, 8 games already this year. Like that's not Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, but I
It's
mean,
weird.
we kind of touched on that. Look who's like they're missing so many players. It's been a revolving cast of different wide receivers. They keep winning though. The team just knows how to win.
Yeah, and then they just traded for an often injured DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll see how that
Yeah,
goes.
I mean,
But
it's not going to hurt, you know. But got to be honest, very interesting question. And I looked into this. There has been no pure defensive offensive coordinator ever make the Hall of Fame. I know he was a head coach for a little bit, but he was a
mhm.
terrible head coach. Steve Spagnuolo, man,
Oh yeah,
as a defensive coordinator, you got to give him a lot of credit. The dude's got a bunch of Super Bowl rings now. Like
and
he's really just an awesome defensive coordinator.
he makes every um corner like any cornerback that plays for the Chiefs becomes like a superstar overnight.
Oh,
Like
even what he did with the
he's
Giants.
yeah
He really, I mean, I don't because he seems like he's pretty comfortable, and I don't imagine he would ever be a head coach again. Someone that should get a look on Hall of Fame ballots. It would be the only time any coordinator makes it, but this is what it would take. It
yeah.
would take a guy who did a really good job before he was head coach, only take I think he was head coach for 2 years, be terrible, and then just settle into being a coordinator for the rest of his career. Because
Hmm.
man, he's been incredible. The defense has been winning games and winning Super Bowls from the Chiefs more than Pat Mahomes is, and then offense is recently, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's nice to see. I mean, granted, he was thrown to, the sixth, seventh, eighth string wide receivers, but Brock Purdy, man, 17 for 31, 200 yards and three interceptions with zero touchdowns.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not had
the
the last couple of good weeks. He's missing all his superstars, and look what
yeah,
he's deflating. So,
it's true. That's true.
um, so elsewhere, what other games we had? Steelers, like we said, beat the Jets 37-15. That was a shocker. Um, Ugly game that I don't know a single soul that watched. Cardinals beat the Chargers 17-15.
No, that was again ugly, ugly game.
Yeah,
I hate the two Monday Night Footballs, but this was like one Monday Night Football. No one gave a crap about the other game, and you had a pretty good game for the
yeah.
other slot.
And a game here that might have changed the Buccaneers' entire season. Ravens won 41-31. It was not that close. They were up 41 to like 18, and then the Bucks
Yeah,
got a couple garbage touchdowns to make it look nicer. But they lost Mike Evans with a hamstring, or like by I think the second quarter, and
yeah.
then he didn't return. And then to like 40 seconds left in the game, Chris Godwin, I think he tore something
Dislocated
in
his
his
ankle.
ankle, but he's out for the season now. So on a
Insane that he was even in the game.
and
That's
then they even when he was done, they were still throwing the ball. I'm like, just take a fucking knee. Like the game's
yeah,
over.
yeah. Just call it
I
a
get
day.
it that you want to
Yeah,
fight till the last, second, but like you gotta be
look what
smart.
happens.
But yeah, that's gonna suck for them. You lose your two best players on offense, but Ravens again look crazy. Like I forget what at what point it was, but commentators were like, "Oh well," I guess Joe Buck was calling this game. He was like, "Well, Derrick Henry been pretty quiet," and goes off for like a 70-yard run,
Yeah,
finishes with over 100 yards. So he is again, we've said it 1,000 times, not from this planet. He is something special. But well, that's a wrap on week 7 games. We can go right into our studs and duds, and since the Eagles won, why not lead off with the studs?
I feel that. Well, kicking off the list, just so you know, I bring it every week. I do the
Of
deep
course, of
dive.
course.
I think you'd
That's why I
appreciate
keep
that.
you
We're
around.
gonna we're kicking it off with defense, which I know you're a personal fave of.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Guy came in. Now, this is a name that if I just mentioned it to you, you probably couldn't even tell me what team he played for. I'm actually positive you could not tell me what team he played for
Okay, tell
because
me.
he's a backup linebacker,
Okay.
mostly special teams guy. But starting linebacker goes down, he steps up
Hmm.
and balls out. 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup. I mean, the guy was everywhere. Huge, huge game, especially in a tight battle like this. So Eric Wilson, who again, I don't think what team does he play for?
Vikings?
Nope. That'd be the Green Bay Packers. I told you he
Oh,
won. Why would I put him on the
I
losing
was,
team?
you see, I wasn't listening.
Eric Wilson, Quay Walker went down with a concussion and he stepped in. Can I just say those stats, the stat line I gave you, I think was from the second quarter because Walker played the first quarter, he got hurt in the second quarter, and he walked right in that spot and just balled out.
Hmm. Eric
Yeah,
Wilson.
so Eric Wilson, I don't know if he's ever going to make this list again, but he's on it this week. So Eric Wilson came in the first entry on our stud list.
That's not the player that was on the Eagles for a hot sec, is it?
Not that I remember.
Hmm.
Moving on. This guy, you know what? I could have penciled him in as a stud, but in the offseason for this game. Just put this game in July. I could have told you in this game he was going to be on this stud list. Pretty much could have guaranteed it and put my mortgage on it. Knew this revenge game. He was going to ball out. He had this one circled. Everyone did. 17 carries for a disgusting 176, 10 yards in average. Throw a
Hmm.
tutty on the ground.
Hmm.
He was just a menace to the Giants. Payback was real, and he just cooked them.
Loved
So
it.
Saquon, I think everyone expect that in the
And
revenge game.
that was only in three quarters.
Yeah, he could have definitely gone for over 200
Oh, for
easy, but
sure.
does Nick Sirianni back on because this is what he does, man. You get good sound
He's
bites.
a
He hypes the
rah-rah
team up
guy. He's a
when
rah-rah
things are
guy.
going well. He's we love him, but we'll see how it goes next week if they lose.
Yeah, and don't if they lose to the Bengals, then we'll be back on the fire Sirianni train. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I
So
will
Saquon comes in second
I
stud.
will I will cut you off real quick. I was actually double correct. Eric Wilson he started his career with the Vikings. He did play for the Eagles, and we cut him after like 2 games because he sucked.
Hmm.
And because I remember we signed him thinking he was going to be like this secret signing, like good backup player that nobody else was gonna start, and then
Oh,
he was
he's a hell of a backup for the
just not
Packers.
good. But yeah, look at that.
Moving on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our number one stud. I mean, this was neck and neck between two teammates, to be honest, because both had incredible games. I'll just say it wasn't Derrick Henry, who again could have been number one on the stud list. Just every week
Every
he could
week.
just be here.
He should just
Eric
have his
Wilson
own
deserved it.
spot, just his
He
own
should.
spot.
He should. This is what we said last week. But
Huh?
Saquon had 10.6 yards per carry, just to be outdone by Derrick Henry's 11.3. On 15 carries, he managed 169. Just insane
It's,
numbers. Insane. This guy just balls. Hell, he
he's
had a touchdown through the air and
the
13 yards
the
there.
last touchdown he scored was the catch, and you could tell the Bucks defense were just they're like, I don't want to tackle this guy anymore. They just let him walk into the end zone. They're like, please,
Oh,
no
it's
more
just
pain.
insane. But going off that, he did not make the stud list. I got to spice it up every once in a while, but his teammate did. I mean,
Mm,
17 to 22, he was just out of his mind. 5 touchdowns, just
yeah.
wasn't missing a single throw. 50 yards on the ground. I mean, he had more touchdowns than he did in completions.
Mm.
281, just really efficient, killed it. So we're going Lamar this week. Number one stud.
He has he's like top five now, most 5 touchdown games for a quarterback throwing the ball.
He's looking really good. The Ravens are looking really good. That Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson
Oh
mix up
yeah.
is looking nice.
Oh yeah. Smart.
Again, good offensive scheme. They're playing off the Lamar and Derrick Henry, and it opens things up downfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Rashad Bateman, if you want to mention him, he balled out. He had a huge game.
He did.
Yeah, like you don't even say anything, but like, that's a product of good creative offense, but
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah.
On to the duds list. Now I'm just gonna start this by saying, like, this was a tough week for duds. There was a lot of good candidates. I could have gone with the usual weekly ones, like Danny Jones definitely could have got on there. Kirk Cousins did not have a good game.
Hmm.
Justin Fields, I was thinking about, even though he didn't play, because he definitely lost his job. As you say, it's the easiest way to get on this list.
Yeah.
But I have to spice it up. You could Alec could have been Woody Johnson if you're firing his coach, and now he's dropped 2 games since he did that. But let's spice it up with some running backs that didn't give us much to be excited for. So, guy who's actually been a feel-good story this year, didn't give us much to celebrate. Now, don't get me wrong, this team passed quite a bit, and he had 39 attempts through the air, which is pretty crazy for a game that was 15 to 17. But J.K. Dobbins, 14 for 40, no tutties. Gave
Mm.
you gave you a little bit through the air, as you would hope when they threw the ball 39 times. But he's been a good player this year. Not this week. So I got J.K. Dobbins kicking off the list.
What does that average out to? 14 for 40? Like a 2,
2.26,
2.5,
2.6.
2.6?
Yeah, 2.9, 2.9.
Oh,
Yes, it's anything two is not ideal.
no, no.
Moving on, we got another running back. Guy who I can't say is really having a great year. Not
Hmm.
really necessarily his fault, more of a product of his environment. Hard to really get on the dud list when you sign a nice contract for a good amount of money. So, mixing, here and there. But I think that was an ultimate compliment. Like, dude, we've made you go through this and the beatings and the just all the attention being on you and the team sucks. Like, we'll give you some money because his 7 carries only gave him 10 yards, which is 1.4 average. And he touched the ball 6 times through the air, but he only got 14 yards out of it. And that's 2-3. Granted, his team stinks. He did get a nice little chunk of change to the end of the week for that, so good for him. But Alvin Kamara, tough, tough performance. He's second
Yeah.
dud.
Yeah, I needed him for fan. Can you believe I had in my 3 fantasy leagues, I played against Lamar Jackson in all 3 of them?
Hmm. Did you win any?
Nope.
Hmm.
0 and
Unfortunate.
3. My fantasy league, I've been struggling this year. I don't know what's going on.
So we got the opposite of Derrick Henry for this week. Because, I mean, I must have had him on the dud list like 2 or 3 times for the
Hmm.
sole reason that each time it happens, I'm like, he's lost his job. He's like just an unkillable thing. Like he just manages to keep coming back. But in this one, kind of, I feel bad, but it's hard to ignore it. The guy had 4 turnovers, looked really, really ugly. 3 interceptions. He fumbled on an. Oh, I apologize. He didn't. Oh no, that was a loss. So he had 4 turnovers, 3 through the air, 1 fumble. He was 15 to 34 passing, 158, 54 yards, no touchdowns. Tough, tough game. He came in because O'Connell got hurt, so I don't think he's getting his job back. But Gardner Minshew finds his spot again on this stud list, and you got to feel bad, but man, you're making it easy. 4 turnovers,
Yeah,
like,
he's
sheesh.
man, he's struggling. He's great when he's a backup and he's called into action, but when he's the
What
starter,
do you
he's
mean? He was a backup called in action. He had less than 50% completion
well,
percentage
I
and
mean, when he's
four in
not, when
turnovers.
he wasn't, yeah, but he started most of the season, so
Yeah, I don't know. Tough look. But yeah, Minshew finds his way on top of this list again.
not great. Nope. All right. Well, that's your studs and duds. A little too much whiz quick action for you here. So, actually, let me get his stats up right here. So, this guy came back, played his first game of the season, and I would call it a bit of an upset. I mean, the team's record's 5-2, but I would say it was an upset. Outdueled Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
Russell Wilson, 264 yards, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Looked pretty good. So my question to you, too much whiz. Are the Steelers are going to get Seattle Russ and not Denver Russ for the rest of the season?
I'm going to split this yes and no. I think they get in
Mm,
between. I don't see him
mm,
suddenly finding Seattle Russ, out of nowhere, especially when he missed all of, the first 5 games of the
yeah.
season and most of the offseason. He looked already better than he did in Denver, and I still don't think he's going to be that bad. I think a change of scenery was good. Denver just got toxic quick.
Mm.
So I think they get a mix.
Some light whiz.
Yeah, light whiz.
Light
Whiz
whiz.
on the side.
Okay. It's on the side. All right. I kind of agree with that. I think, yeah, Denver I heard was just like a shit show when he was there, and he also like wanted out, and but I mean, he played better at the end of the year, if I recall correctly. But all right, too much whiz. Last year in the AFC Championship game, we had the Chiefs versus the Ravens.
Hmm.
This year, we are going to have that same exact matchup.
I mean, yeah. Who else in the AFC is going to challenge them?
I think it's the same
I
story every year in the like the Bills are going to lose in the divisional round. The Texans are going to be like still that young team too early, and Ravens Chiefs.
I think, the whole AFC East, I mean, the Bills will throw their talent there, but the Bills, I mean, they're not a bad team, but they still look a tier behind the Ravens and Chiefs, and it's a comfortable tier behind.
Mm.
I mean, the Ravens also boot to, ass when they played each other. Um, Bengals don't look complete. Steelers, you don't know, but I mean, the AFC is not very strong. So I mean, they just look a tier above everyone. So I'm
Yeah.
riding with it again.
All right. And this one, I think I kind of know your answer because you briefly mentioned it, but too much whiz. Deshaun Watson not only played his last snap for the Cleveland Browns, but his last snap in the NFL.
Definitely not the NFL.
He's
I
getting
think,
up
I
there.
mean,
And
I don't see him leaving Cleveland. I don't know how he is.
hmm,
I all I know is that Cleveland is really hoping he gets suspended. Apparently, they can get out of the contract if if he's suspended. And boy, I mean, yeah, he's done some terrible things, and he doesn't seem like a very good person. But rehabbing from Achilles, the NFL suspends you, and then the Browns give you the boot because as soon as Goodell mentions the word suspended, he is getting kicked out of Cleveland real quick.
yeah.
That would have to be rock bottom. I think that's probably rock bottom. But I don't until he gets suspended, I really don't see any way he's out of Cleveland.
I don't think another team signs him if he gets cut from Cleveland. So,
They'll give him a year. Someone else will give him a shot. They're desperate for
hmm,
quarterbacks in this league.
yeah, guess we'll see. Did you see Carson Wentz took like a direct like trick play snap and then the Chiefs run like to red zone?
Yeah, well, creative offense.
So weird seeing him just fall off to what he is now. But hey, injuries will do that to you.
Yeah.
All right. And that is too much whiz. Moving on, we have our power rankings. A lot of movement actually this week because the previous 2 weeks were pretty much the same. But this week we had the Eagles hop back into it. They're at
Mm.
number 10. I think I mean, the NFL is very fluid, and I think with a lot of the injuries to some of the better teams, like San Fran would probably be in here normally, but they're struggling. So Eagles coming at 10. Steelers, I mean, they're 5-2. You got to give them their flowers. Defense is looking good. They're at number 9. We got the Commanders at number 8, moving up a spot.
Mm.
Texans were one of only two teams that dropped. They dropped down to 7. Packers jump up to 6. Bills jump up to 5. Vikings drop from 1 to 4. And then top three, Chiefs at 1, Ravens at 2, Lions at 3. I think those are I mean, Chiefs are not playing great, but those are the three powerhouses. I think the Vikings could squeeze in there, but
Yeah,
those
I'm
those
not
three
writing
are
off the Vikings. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. And then moving on to our game picks, another positive week for all of us. We had Tyrell, who usually hops on for like March Madness stuff. He did game picks this week. He went 9-6. I also went 9-6, and
Mm.
Tim was the victor this week at 11-4. So
Oh, big week.
there you go. There you go. You're
Love it.
slowly I only have a 2 game lead on you now. So you're catching up on me.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Um so yeah. Hey, as long as we're positive, that's the name of the game. But moving on, we'll get into our game picks for this week. We're in week 8 already. Crazy. Halloween is next Friday, so
Mm.
let that sink in. Alrighty. Starting off Thursday night, Vikings at the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams, they don't look like a good team.
Is this your
I don't
get
buy
right
the
game?
rumors. Yeah, I don't buy the rumors they're gonna do a fire sale, but they don't look like a good team. Vikings get
They
a
have a lot of injuries.
yeah, this is a get right game. It smells like a get right game, so we're going Minnesota.
I'm also going to take the Vikes here. No, okay, good. No London games this time around. 1 o'clock, Packers at the Jaguars. Could this be
Jaguars,
I was going to say
they
this
look
could be a
ugly, man.
sneaky.
No, I can't see it. No. The Packers look good. They're clicking. Jaguars have been in London for 2 weeks. I can't see them bouncing back. They look really bad. That game wasn't I know they won by a good amount, but they didn't really look that great. I'm going Packers.
Okay, I thought you said you were taking the Jags. Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah, it's tempting. but I think I'm going to stick with the Pack. They're just the better team. Cardinals at the Dolphins. Tua returns. Cardinals have shown me they showed me like more in the first 2 weeks than they have in the last four or five. So I'm Dolphins haven't won in a while. I'll give the Dolphins their
Hey, the
victory here.
Dolphins are good when Tua plays, and they're unwatchable when he doesn't. So
Yeah.
Tua's back. The Dolphins are back. I'm going Miami.
Tim, I believe this would be another get right game. Jets at the Patriots. I'm gonna take the Jets because if they lose this game, they're done.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they're
if this has to be a get right game, or I think Woody Johnson fires his head coach again.
fires himself.
Yeah, if they don't win this, everyone's getting fired.
The
Reddick's gonna play. Devontae Adams has a
guy
week.
gives out popcorn, you're done.
Yeah, they're firing everyone. So
Ugh.
yeah, it has to be a get right game. There's no other option. I'm taking the Jets.
There's a lot of games that I would love to like sneakily take an upset, but
Not seeing it
um
so far.
Ravens at the Browns. Jameis Winston comes in, the defense rallies behind a hurt Deshaun.
Absolutely not. No, the Ravens all the way.
I'm kind of we might come back to this. I'm gonna take Ravens for now because we
Browns
all
offense. So Browns offense is better than Deshaun Watson, and if so, how much better? Or if it's worse or stagnant, what do we think?
I mean you think there would be a little bit of a spark when the new quarterback comes in, but it's
Does the offense just move on from all the issues they've had because
keep
Deshaun
in
Watson's gone?
mind
I
the
mean, Nick Chubb's
Ravens.
back, which will help.
Yeah, yeah. And keep in mind the Ravens defense hasn't exactly been great this year either. It's their offense
Oh,
has just been
get out of it. They're gonna win by a
they're
lot.
ranked
I'm
like
talking about going
20
forward.
they're ranked like 25th in fantasy. They're not I mean, they're
It's
not getting the turnovers and stuff like they usually do, but
no. I'm looking forward. Like, is Jameis Winston get this offense like Joe Flacco-esque? Deshaun Watson was terrible. Joe Flacco comes in and kills it. Does Jameis Winston do that? 'Cause
that's what I'm saying.
if that's the case, I mean, at this point, you just pay Deshaun Watson $100 million to sit on the bench.
we're gonna come back. I'm undecided right now. I need to think about it.
You're insane.
Eagles at the Bengals.
Go Birds.
I'm teetering.
As we had two wins against bad teams. We had the first comfortable win we've had since the playoffs and that Super Bowl run. We currently don't want to fire Sirianni. I mean, we do, but like, not as much right now.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, you convinced me. Go Birds. Another potential get right divisional game. Colts at the Texans. I'm taking Houston.
Yeah, it's the Colts are one of those teams that are hard to watch. Taking Houston. Get right game for sure.
Yeah, a lot of these games are going to be blowouts this week. It's going to be weird. Some one team is going to get upset. It's going to, fuck it. I'm taking the Browns. All right, that's
That is
settled.
that of all the games we've done, that is not the one I'm calling the upset
They've won
on.
five in a row. They're going to lose again eventually. So, all right.
Sure as hell not gonna be the
Um,
Browns.
the defense is still playing well, so we'll see. And like you said, Chubb's back. All right, Titans at the Lions. Yeah, I'm just going to put Lions down for you.
This is gonna be an ass kicking.
Falcons at the Bucks. I'm taking the Falcons only because the Buccaneers lost their two best offensive players, two best players on their team.
No, I'm gonna get this is a good mojo win. Baker's still balling out. I think they're gonna pull this one out. It's in Tampa.
You're on crack.
I think they'll play it. The Falcons did not look great last week.
I'm taking Falcons. Um, Saints at the Chargers. I mean, the Saints got to win again
Oh,
eventually, right?
that's not a comfortable game. I'll take it the Chargers. The Saints look awful. I'm pretty sure Derek Carr's definitely not playing.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Chargers. I can't. I think Dennis Allen might get fired soon.
Yeah.
Bills at the Seahawks in
Mm.
Seattle. 4 o'clock game.
I'm taking Seattle. They actually it's tough. They're
I'm
both you know what? They're both coming off big wins.
taking the Bills.
Listen, Seattle was my team in the beginning of the year. I took them as my surprise team. I see you completely giving up on the Panthers, but I'm stick with Seattle. We're going Seahawks.
All right. And then the we'll see if this is tough because we don't know if I think so Bears Commanders. I think the Washington has a better chance if Jane Daniel. I think they win if Jane Daniels plays. I think the Bears
No,
have a
I think
better
he already said he is
chance.
playing.
All right, I'll take Washington.
I'll take Washington as
I
well.
hope the Bears
I'm kind of
win. But,
I'm kind of surprised the Bears are favorite in this. They even look great.
yeah, they've beat up
Caleb's
on
getting a
bad
little bit better.
teams. Yeah,
Yeah.
he has looked better. Yeah. Um, Chiefs at the Raiders.
The Raiders always sneakily win
I
one against the
know. I'm
Chiefs every
thinking
year.
about it.
It is not going to be this
But
game.
is that
Maybe down the
they're
road, but I'll take the Chiefs.
gonna be 7-0?
Yeah.
Uh,
Do it. Just do it.
I'm trying to see if they played each other already.
No, I think they play each other. I don't think they've played each other. I don't remember them playing each other.
Let's see games. No, they play again in the end of November.
That's the one they're going
Yeah,
to win.
too soon for an upset. I'm gonna go KC. All right. Next game we got is Panthers at the Broncos. Ooh, toilet bowl game of the
Talk,
week.
man. Yeah, but you know what? The Broncos, this is what they just keep winning. They're going to be a 5-3 team if they win this one. They do not win pretty. They're the ugliest wins you can imagine, but they still kind of win. You know what's kind of wild? Denver is a -10 favorite. The Chiefs are also -10 favorites. I'm so shocked. The Broncos are the same line as the Chiefs in a game against the Raiders, but I think that tells you everything about what Carolina Panthers are. So we'll ride with the Broncos.
Um, hey, Bryce Young's coming back. He's gonna play, spark that offense, and go Panthers.
All right, you're feeling real bold this week.
Cowboys at the 49ers. I'm not am I crazy in saying we want the Cowboys to win?
Absolutely. Why would we want the Cowboys to win?
Because they're kind of not a factor right now in the East, but the Niners are still, kind of in our way as far as seeding.
I mean, seeding wise, the Cowboys are 3-3, the Niners are 3-4. They basically just flip flop. The Cowboys
Mm,
go to 3-4, the Niners go 4-4. I'm not rooting for the Cowboys. I think the Niners win this. And then the fire, because you know what, the Cowboys, the media will be brutal, and it could get so ugly that they'll probably just write them off, and the ship will just start sailing.
mm. I think I mean the Niners lost Brandon Ayuk, who not to talk shit on when he's injured, but like talk about underperforming your brand new contract. He's been garbage all year.
Jennings
Um,
is going to prove to the Niners that he can do exactly what
what
Brandon
Brandon
Ayuk can
Ayuk?
do.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, that was such a bad
Oh
contract.
yeah. They were put into a corner and they were like, fuck it, here's some
I
money.
don't think they were. They should just let him roll. You did not need Brandon Ayuk to win games.
Yeah, I don't. That's why they couldn't trade him. There's no they other teams knew. So
Mhm.
I'm going to take Dallas because the 49ers are injured. They're down. Debo was sick. I don't know if he's gonna play. Um, they don't have Ayuk. I think Mason's got a little injury he's dealing with, the running back. So I'm going to take Dallas. And then Monday Night Football, luckily we just one game this time. Giants at the Steelers.
Ugh,
Yeah, I guess
jeez.
I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers.
All right, so we had 5 games with different outcomes. The rest we are in agreement on. So my bold prediction is the Browns to beat the Ravens and the Panthers to beat the Broncos. So we'll see.
I'm more confident in the Panthers being the Broncos. They're in no way. If the Browns beat the Ravens, I mean, talk about just like the most toxic player you can dream of.
Why? What do you mean?
Watson gets hurt, they switch quarterbacks, and then they suddenly knock off one of the best
Oh,
teams in the NFL.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it'll be
yeah.
a real tough argument to say Watson is worth anything at that point.
I'm only saying that because their defense is still playing well and Nick Chubb's back. So
Mm,
I mean, Nick Chubb versus Derrick Henry, that's fun to watch.
It'll be fun.
So all right. As always, go birds and peace out.
Peace.